Working on anything like that?
Well, I'm working on my book. That'll be released. Well, I don't know exactly, but probably the end of this year. But we're in the process right now of working on it. So that's the big thing this year.
Excellent, guys. My guest in Sydney live, Mr. Trent Shelton. Off the record, let's talk about that book.
For sure, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, just I guess to set the stage for the book. I've done a lot of self-published books, and they've been good, but this is my first traditionally published book, getting it out to the world, working with a publishing house. And it's called, well, I guess I'll give it out. It's called The Greatest You, and that's kind of what the rehabbers created, picked the name for it, because I wanted to give them the opportunity to kind of name it for me, and just be involved in the process. And basically just about finding the greatest you inside of your struggles and just life in general. And so I walk them through this process, this journey, and helping them be the best version of themselves.
When did you start the writing aspect? As we were walking down to the studio, I was talking about the one that I've finished. It's in the publishing stages. Yeah. For me, the struggles of actually taking my thoughts and my intentions of wanting to help people, I was struggling with putting that into word.
Yes.
I was thinking it, I was writing it, and then it wasn't coming out how I wanted it. But then I found this app that helped me. Are you traditionally, is writing something that has always been natural to you, or did you have to work on it?
Well, it does. I mean, I love to write, but as far as book form, I do have a co-author with this book that definitely helps put my words into get story form, because I'm a short writer. I love poetry. I love just quick hits, which you can find in a lot of my posts. So as far as drawing things out, just not my strength. So he's definitely helped me. Lou Aronica's helping me bring that together.
Yeah, when I first heard of you, man, I grew up in America and got to Australia about four and a half years ago. But it was how Facebook, I was kind of torn between telling this story right off the bat. Yeah. Literally 10 minutes go upstairs, Facebook has the Facebook reminders. And a year ago to the day, it reminded me that I had made this video, a black and white video in this room. Nothing was set up, and it was a 60-second just exuding whatever was on my head, and it was called Find the Giants. It's one of my favorite quotes. So the only reason I did that is because I saw your video. 100%. You had a video. It was the one about your real friends.
Yeah.
And man, that one, it spoke to me. There were certain bits in that, not only the choreography, like how you told the story with the imagery, but about how people speak about us when we're not around, and the words they say, will they defend you? So I did that video. It reminds me, I'm up there about 10 minutes ago waiting for you to get here. And I think to myself, I'm living in a movie, because the reason why I did the video is because of you, and now I'm talking to a person. And it's just crazy how, with the world we live in, networking, communication, asking for what we want, the importance of that aspect. Your videos, that one that I'm referencing, what was your inspiration with even starting and pressing record the first time?
The first time with videos in general? Or
any video.
Okay, yeah.
And then having the wherewithal or courage to be like, let me give this to people.
For me, just to be honest, when I started making videos, I was on Ustream and vlogging, and it was just me connecting with people. Like, I'll get on there and play video games, and people would, come there and watch when I was still in my NFL phase, and they would ask me questions, just any questions, and they started asking me questions about life. And I would answer those questions, and they just started coming more and more and more, and they were like, can you come on tomorrow? And I was like, man, I can't come on tomorrow. So I was like, well, let me start, putting out some videos just so I don't have to be live all the time through Ustream. And I just was sharing my heart, man. And just to be honest, it was like rehabbish, because some videos would be positive, some videos would be me doing whatever. But that was the journey of me becoming the person I am today. So it was as I look back now, those videos were my therapy. Because I was putting something out in the world, and it got to a point where if I'm putting this out, I have to make sure I'm living it. So it became my accountability also.
Did you ever find a point, because the video I referenced that I had put out, I swore in it.
Yeah.
And partially because I was nervous. Right. And now one of my best friends is my mom, Rosie. I just got off the phone with her. She's in Youngstown, my hometown. She's a nurse, but she also works at a rehab facility. She's a recovering addict to alcohol. And she sends me a message last year and goes, Johnny, I love the message, but I can't play it for the people at my clinic because you swear.
Right.
She was like, watch this guy. I play his videos. And I was like, Mom, that's why I did it. And she was talking about you. From that first time when you went from the guy playing in the league, playing in the NFL video games on Ustream, and then making the videos, did you ever think that the impact you would have? You're about tomorrow, in Sydney, you're doing a live event, you're on a tour. Did you ever think that was this a true intentions of yours to want to impact people like this?
Absolutely not. I never thought Rehab Time would grow to what it is. I never wanted to be a speaker, ever. I never thought I was a speaker. if you know me, you can ask these guys in here. I'm pretty quiet. You know, I'm not shy, but you know, I'm reserved. I like to listen. I'm not a guy that most people would expect to overtake the room, to always be talking. That's just not my nature. And my grandma told me something a long time ago. She says, when you speak, make sure your words count. So I always hold that near and dear to my heart. But I never thought that rehab time would be to what it is today. You know, I never thought it would grow this quickly at all.
Yeah, you end every video with, you know, it's rehab time, let's get it.
Yeah.
Is that's a personal mantra of you speaking to yourself, but also has the, you know, the complexity of whoever's listening, correct?
Definitely. Because those words were before rehab time was even public.
Because
right?
It sounds like that could be in a locker room too. Well, you're a former athlete. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's funny you picked up on that because when I was going through my process, like I said, I never wanted to be a speaker. I never wanted to have a organization. Rehab time was words for me to let me know it was time to go to the gym. It actually started from that. My last year, right before my last season with the Redskins, I had a tryout and I knew I had one opportunity left. You know, you usually get 3 years to really make your mark. One opportunity left, so I dedicated my life to making sure mind, body, and soul, I was clear, I was focused. I put in the work, I was training at 40. I knew I had to run a 4.3 to get recognized, so I was training. And
you were a receiver, right?
Receiver, yeah. And so every time, like 12 a.m., I'd be like, it's rehab time, let's go. And rehab meant putting strength back into weaknesses in my life. And so when I say that, that's where that comes from. You know, going to the gym, getting into my word and all these different things. So you're exactly right. Like, it's like a model for me to, let's go, it's time to make it happen.
And now, the rehab time, you are the president, co-founder of,
Yes.
It's a nonprofit, correct?
Yes.
Could you share a little bit of, you know, maybe go in a little bit more detail of what that consists of, rehab time, the nonprofit?
Yeah, for sure. It's really just giving back in general. We have a lot of different aspects. We're actually doing something. I'm running a marathon pretty soon.
Yeah? I had an ultra endurance.
The New York City Marathon, thanks to somebody.
Was that a bet? Did you lose a bet here?
It was a challenge. You know, my good friend Jason takes all my photos pretty much, and I could talk about him all day, both of these guys.
That's
but
awesome.
He challenged me, you know, and he was like, man, let's run a New York City Marathon. I was like, all right. And so I signed up, and I actually got picked to do it. You know, it's a lottery. And so I got picked to do it, so I have to do it. So we're actually training for it now.
When is it?
It is November 5th. I tried to add
Jason, are you doing it?
Yeah.
You're going to do it as well?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever done one?
I did one. I didn't train properly for it.
Yeah.
So this time I'm like dedicating the 20 weeks properly
And is this
drop the weight.
you choosing to do it with Trent? Is this kind of like a reflection of accountability as well? Like, I brought it up, I'm going to do it as well to show him that he's not alone, or is this just something that you want to do?
So part of it, yeah. So like I wanted to do it with like close friends because there's a bigger goal. We want to raise like $30,000 for underprivileged kids. So I get to travel. I do a lot with like track and field.
Yeah.
So like one of the things that hit me was when I was in Kenya and Ethiopia, you see like these like kids with barely no shoes on and like all this talent, and I just want to be able to go back and like just provide them with like proper training equipment, because like one of the things that I always think of is like, what if they had the same opportunities like they have back in the States or Australia or like a prominent country, and like what happens if like they had just the same shoes as us or something like that. That's, like, instead of wearing jeans and a cardigan to a practice, like if they had warm-ups and tights and stuff like that. So that's the mission.
How long have you known Trent?
3-4 years now.
And have you been friends with him, and so you've been part of his rise?
He came pretty much, I would say, rehab time. I started rehab time in 2009. I met Jason, I would say 2014. And so he came at the beginning of, I guess, the speaking part of me traveling and doing things like that.
My question is, what's that like when like your friends and the people, you know, the guys you bring with you, the people who love you, what's that like, Jason, when you see him presenting on stage and people are just like, you know, mesmerized by the message? How does that make you feel?
So when I first met Trent, I had no idea who he was. Right, I was just brought along just to capture it for someone else, and like it's cool because I still find it funny when we're like traveling and someone's like, "Hey, can I take a picture with you?" and all that other stuff. Like I find it funny. Like there was this one time when we went to London and it was like 2:00 in the morning, trying to find our way back to our hotel room, and people were just stopping him to take pictures. So like that, it's pretty funny, but like the impact that he has on people is pretty huge. So like or sometimes he'll go backstage between sessions while he's talking, and I'll be like, oh, like they're not really responding. He goes like, no, pay attention. they're just like not like in the States or depending, like they're just really like into it. So it's really special to see like how the crowd responds to him and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, if I were to break down, like, part of me wanted to break down, are they your real friends, and then just dissect that, because I could. That was really, really, I did a live video yesterday, and I said. I segued the video with, I'm not usually into motivational speakers, only because it's just something that certain things speak to us differently, right? Yeah. When I heard that one though, and then because I just turned 36, so a big turning point in my life was I was probably 5.5 years ago. I was living in Las Vegas, and when I heard that, I was able to reflect on, because there's two sides to that. Were you ever the bad friend?
Yeah, for sure.
That because being a former athlete as well, I always had this kind of propensity to be able to talk my friends into doing anything. Yeah. Like, we're 21, 22 years old. It was like an energy. The same way I choose to do good now, it was like that dichotomy of, let's get messed up, let's go do this. And there was never anyone around in that group of like 5, 6 of us saying, hey guys, like, why are we doing this? We don't need to drink every night. We don't need to get into fights. We just need to treat people well. So when I heard your message, it was so powerful on both ends, because I've gotten through that, and I was also that. It's very evident that these were struggles that you had gone through too. Those words that you had written down. Maybe could you share a story with us about the motivation on some of that lines?
Yeah, for sure. Well, kind of to speak about what you just said, like as far as like being on both sides of the fence, like with me. I've never been a friend. I don't feel like that's like purposely, intentionally like did something wrong to somebody. I don't feel like that's in my heart. But I have the influence, right? Whether it be me playing sports, whatever I'm gonna say what I say goes, but I can influence my friends. Okay, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And so I realized in my life how I was influencing people. Friends came from an aspect of things, man, throughout my whole entire life. Like, I've dealt with situations where I've had people I trusted do me wrong like anybody else. And that doesn't mean they're bad people, but there's certain circumstances. I always say this, like, I trust you, but I don't trust the money. Like, if it's business involved or something like that, And it just came from a place of that personally, but also came a place of me observing and messages people give me and everything like that. And so friends, man, it was a relief for me. I think at that time, it was probably like 2015, 2016, I was going through some internal issues with rehab time. That kind of motivated me to write those things, not just for me personally, but also for other people. Because I love to speak, not just for me, but for also other people. I love to be that voice for people. And I think that's why people related to that video so well. And I mean, putting Shane on the spot, he was the creative genius behind that, just with the blindfolds and everything.
That was my next question, Shane, man. So how it starts, the headband, it's almost like a balaclava that says love, and then it falls, and then the edits. So you're the guy behind that.
That is correct.
Was this a vision for that? The link is in the show notes, guys, listening to the video, and if you want to see it, click the link, and it's also on my Facebook wall, or just go to Trent's page. But was this something that the words were already written down, or you knew his energy and you're like, I got an idea?
Yeah, so part of the process, and kind of like what Jason said as well, like the designer that we both work with was one of my good friends for several years, and I guess he told me that he had a friend that just needed some video work, so it was kind of similar like Jason. I had never heard of him, didn't know who he was. We hung out, shot some videos, it worked really well. And so really the process has become like, obviously he writes the words from a very deep personal place, and I kind of process them, we talk about them, and go over the visuals. So kind of just, taking what he says and trying to bring metaphors or even an extra step, to the whole content.
I had never,
altogether.
It was man, it's good to meet you as well, and then you as well. Jason and Shane? Sean?
Yeah, Shane.
Yeah. Because it's with all the content that's coming at all of us, humans in 2018 from every angle, social media, movies, commercials, radio, whatever it may be, it's tough, or maybe it's the beautiful part of when a video moves you. It's like art, and that was one of those videos for me. So that was, it was very, and then also you have this, what's your talk about your love of nature? Because I've noticed it a lot. Or is that just
Nah,
is that
man,
that somebody told you to do it? Is
nah, man.
You're out in nature. It works well with your.
It's so funny because just to be real, like you know, you don't really see a lot of black people like out in nature like that, and so I wanted to just break that stereotype for one. But for me, I fell in love, man, with hiking in Phoenix, Arizona.
It looked like I was gonna say it looked like it was near the Grand Canyon.
Yeah,
I used to live in Vegas, and I was like, it might have. Yeah,
Camelback Mountain, man, and I fell in love with it. And the reason I did because the first time I did it, I couldn't conquer it, and so you know, as you know, like I'm like, man, I can't let this defeat me. So I came back, and once I got to the top, I felt so much peace. I felt so connected to God. It was like all my worries just were like beneath me, and I was just connected. And so I fell in love with that feeling, and from there I started to hike more nature trails. I mean, we've been so many places that's just so peaceful, man. It's like one of the things that I say with protecting your peace, that's what I say, protect your peace.
I love it.
Is to, once you're in those trails or wherever it is, just for me, nothing matters. Nothing exists except just the moment and maybe the thoughts or the visions that I might have in that moment. No worries, no doubts, no fears, what I have to do an hour from now. And it's just beautiful because I feel like I can't be reached. Half the time my cell phone is not working. And it's just a good place for me to recharge, reconnect, and refocus, you know. And so these guys have joined me too on it. I think they can just even express too that just what it's done for them, done for me. And just, I'm happy to see people now influenced to go protect their peace and hike. People all the time hit me up, look, Trent, I'm here, I'm there.
Yeah. And
so hopefully out here we can find somewhere, whether it's the beach or somewhere.
Well, the beaches are definitely beautiful. The best way, if you're a visitor of Sydney, is to look at the topography from an aerial perspective.
Gotcha.
It took me 3 years to do that. I'm speaking like an expert. I've been here for almost 5 years. I just realized that because the city itself, the engineering of Sydney, they didn't expect all these people to be here. So there's a lot of nooks and crannies and canals. But if you have time, you take I think it's an hour train ride to the Blue Mountains. And I just did this. I did this a few weeks ago. It's a little mountain town called Katoomba. And it is an absolutely beautiful, I'm talking breathless, picturesque hike. But also it's like that, I always tell people, it's like have you ever had like deafening silence? Yeah. From being out in nature, like hiking through the Grand Canyon, hiking the Blue Mountains, it's so quiet, it's loud. Yeah. It's like it's hard to that's out there. Wow. Yeah. So you just jump. I know you guys are out, but you're gonna be in New Zealand on the 27th. Yeah. Which I've never been. Did you go there last year?
No, that's my first time.
Man, they did Lord of the Rings there, so
that's what I heard.
It's magical there. Being outside is a very important component of just like detaching from the chaos. Where did you have a background? Like when you were in college, were you doing like spoken word?
Music. I like rapping. I love music.
Like freestyling.
Yeah, pretty much freestyling.
Who did you grow up listening to?
Man.
Who were your guys?
Definitely just being honest, Cash Money.
Because we're not
the
Juvenile. People sleep on Lil Wayne, the Hot Boys album.
Well, I grew up in Louisiana, so I mean, No Limit,
No Limit, Bourbons and Cadillacs.
And then the Texas music. I mean, a lot of music. And then as I got older, I got more into just deeper meaning music. Not saying they don't have that, but just more into the. I love J. Cole right now, Kendrick, people like that.
My intro on my on the show on my Facebook show is J. Cole's. Anyway, he's writing about a real message. Yeah. The Hollywood Cole. Yeah. Oh my God, the beat is so. Have you seen that video on my Facebook? Yeah. But anyway, so. The practice side of things, your delivery, your public speaking, your presentation, I'm sure mentally that drives you and excites you and you get to perform. It's kind of like filling that void of not playing ball anymore mentally. But how are you practicing for that? Are you one of these guys that will have something written down? Do you go off script or do you just go off top?
What do y'all think?
I think you go off top.
Exactly.
Have some bullet points, but I mean, man, other than that.
I work better. I just work better just coming from the heart. And the reason I say that is because my very first speaking engagement, I don't want to tell everybody out there this is what you should do because I don't want you to, go that way. If it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, maybe write notes down. Either way. But for me, my very first speaking engagement that was really big, it's like 3,000 kids and I wasn't even a speaker at that point, but I prepared all these notes and I just knew it. Make a long story short, I got on stage and when I got the mic, I forgot everything. Mm-hmm. And so at that moment, I had to just be real and from the heart and share my story. And so that's where that style comes from. So even tomorrow in Sydney, of course I have a structure of where I want to take the show, the journey. Right. But as far as notes or anything like that, or as far as a written out script, I don't have. So, I could be talking about this 1 minute and go to this the next minute. but it tends to work for me, and that's just where I go from.
Are your intentions when you're getting on that stage, are your intentions to storytell? Or your intentions, like, do you want, when you go up there and you're probably taking yourself to a personal mantra before you get the mic, what is your purpose up there?
My purpose, honestly, is to impact one life. When I'm up on stage or when I'm making a video, I'm picturing one person, period, that I can touch. By default, I probably reach more people, but if I can change one person, not even change, because I always said I can't change them. If I can inspire or influence change in that person's life, then my job is done. As far as getting on stage, I've realized just freedom, being me, and over time I've learned this, just to be myself, because I would be so constricted on what to say, what not to say, how should I flow. So now I think you get all of me more now. Like because I crack jokes, I just have fun. You know, I get serious, I get excited. Those are all facets of who I am. And so now more than ever, I just think over time building that confidence, I'm able to be myself more on stage. Because I want people to, like, when they leave off stage, I want two things to happen. I want one, for the people that are coming to see me that have a dream and a purpose and a passion, to be inspired, to be like, man, if Trent can just be himself like this, like, then, you know, I can do what I want to do, inspire them that way. And then also for people who end up meeting me outside the stage, they can be like, that's the same guy we met. You know, I don't want to be two different people, you know, so I'll try to be that person all the time.
Yeah, I know you have a young family, correct?
Yes.
Does your family listen to you?
Yeah.
Because the reason why I asked that, because I've been with my girlfriend for going on a year, and you know that first 6-7 months she's looking at me like in a different way. She's listening. Oh, I listened to that interview with so and so, and I'm kind of like, don't listen. But now it's like you get to the point where like I don't think she listens anymore. So
I mean, my wife, I think Maria definitely, she listens at times.
Yeah.
I think she knows so much of it at times also, and I think she gets a lot of it, you know, just in person, you know, and like she said in the video, like she doesn't get, I wouldn't say the rehab side of me, because it's just that feeling. Like,
is that your younger self?
As far as what?
The message, are you speaking to a specific with the rehab side of things? Or would you say that you have like a 22-year-old guy that's lost? So I hear some business coaches talking about, there's a guy named Bedros Keuilian who's in the fitness space who talks about create your avatar, a specific person for your message.
Got you.
Is this something that, or?
I'm always thinking about the person. Really, like, my main thing is the person who wants to give up on life. Like, because I know how that feels.
Yeah,
you know, I don't know if how well you know, like, just my story. You know, one of my best friends committed suicide, and so that really drove me to start rehab time. And so I'm always thinking.
How old were you?
I was 25 when Anthony committed suicide, I believe, 25. And so that hurt me deep, man. And so anytime I'm writing any message, I do it because whether it's relationships, friendships, those things can drive you to a place where you don't want to live no more. And I get messages like that every day. So when I'm speaking, I want people to not give up and to give tomorrow a chance. So that could be a teenager, that could be a 80-year-old. You know, I've seen everybody in my event.
So suffering.
Yeah, suffer. I don't want people to suffer, man, because I know how it feels to suffer. I know how it feels to feel like your life is over, don't want to live no more. And I think a lot of people have been down that road of silent battles, whether they say it or not. And so I want to I want you to understand that it's okay to not be okay, but also I want to give you some type of tools to let you know that you can grow from that. And that's why I share my story so much, and I'm trying to be as transparent as I can be anytime I speak, even now, like, because, you know, some people think, oh, you have it all figured out or you don't go through anything. I tell people I go through a lot. I got struggles, you know, just like anybody else. The only difference now is I don't stay there. I have different methods to get me out of those struggles. And I think more transparency is needed in this world. And one quote that I always say is that your transparency can lead to other people's transformation. And so be as open as you can be with people, because we need that. It's like, have you ever been, I'm sure you have, right? So let's just say the gym. We're in the gym right now. I get more inspired. Like, there could be a guy in the gym killing it, and I can be inspired by that. Like, man, he's in great shape. But then there might be somebody else in the gym that's not killing it, but they're making it through their workout and they're struggling.
They're showing up.
But that inspires me more. And so I think about that. I feel like I'm the person not at the top of the mountain that's saying, I have life figured out and this is how you get up here. Nah, I might have been to the top, whatever that top is, but I'm down here in the valley with you too, hiking with you and walking through this journey of life with you. And I feel like we need more people in the world like that, more voices, because it's too much, nothing wrong with success, but it's a lot of success talk, but it's not a lot of what that success brings also in the journey. Some people feel like I'm going through stuff, so I feel alone or isolated. Nah, it's normal.
Yeah, that's a very important perspective about what, the success chat. A lot of people saying a message, not taking action, but the outcome after. If you ever heard, you probably know the story of Buster Douglas. I think in '91, he was the only guy, and his team was the only guy on the planet who thought he was going to beat Mike Tyson. They fought in Tokyo, and Buster was an Ohio guy, so we're very loyalists from Ohio. Yeah. But Buster won that fight, and he's giving an interview 10 years after that, and he says that was the worst thing that ever happened to him in his life and career, because what happened was, in that training camp leading up to that fight, his camp prepared him to win. They knew he was going to win. What they failed to do was prepare him how to live as a champion. They never thought past that. So having that success and then not knowing what to do with it, or not understanding the responsibility or duty of how you should live with it and who you're going to impact is an important message as well. Where are you pulling your inspiration from now? Like, from a creativity perspective, because like one of the best bits of advice I was given to recently was in a chat I had with a mentor of mine. He said, Johnny, he was talking about, we must know we must know where we want to go. We must know who we have to become to get to where we want to go. And then he said a lot of that is the law of subtraction, trimming the fat in our lives. Everyone's looking for adding things. We need the new car, we need the mansion, we need the hot girlfriend. But more often than not, it's like, no, you need to ground yourself and see where you could deduct things. Yeah. And that was a huge player in my life when I was given that advice. You bring it up in the video I keep referencing, but me, I find inspiration by people who are, however you equate success, maybe older, more successful, more intelligent, more experienced. I'm inspired by that. History, art, inspired by that. It inspires me to write and want to, tell a story such as yours, which is very important. Where are you pulling yours from?
Man, this might seem like a very general answer, but life, man. I'm an observer. I'm a listener. I observe a lot. And so a lot of my inspiration now at this point, because I always think about what else can I talk about? Just so much content, but just looking out and reading the stories from people across the world, the rehabbers as I call them, and seeing those messages. And,
you have that huge private group too.
Oh yeah, I get messages. I'm not gonna say I've heard every story under the sun, but I think I've heard almost,
So rehab's a global movement, correct?
Global, yes, for sure. And it's, like I said, it started in my room, so I give credit to the people who shared the videos. And even here, I'm like, how did I get to Sydney, Australia? It had to be like somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody. But yeah, it's a global movement, and it's a community. The best way I can put it, it's kind of crazy, man. It's not like about me. You know how some things are like, oh, it's about the person. Yeah. It's more about the purpose, if that makes any sense, because people don't look at me as I don't feel like some guru or whatever. It's just like, man, that's like just my boy or my brother. Like, I think, because even when I meet people, it's like, man, I feel like I've been knowing you forever. I'll call people randomly. I'll answer comments and people don't believe it's me. I literally have to pick up the thing and talk, hey, this isn't Trent,
Yeah, so my friends and family watching this and past guests who've been here know, but I'm a strength coach. Like, right before you sat down, I had clients, and I'm in my work uniform, and I'm texting you, which I do for every client, for every guest for the podcast who comes in, but they never respond. Yeah. So when I text you, and then you hit me back, and then offer to bring a shirt, I was like, what? This is I felt like, all right, cool, that's the rapport. That is probably your habitual. Yeah. This is you.
Yeah, this is who I am.
This is like were you like, as a young boy, take it back to when we were 7 and 8 years old, what was Trent like?
Man, quiet. It's it's funny because we literally have a documentary in the beginning of our show, and my dad's first word is motivational speaker. I would have never thought Trent would be a motivational speaker out of my two older brothers, because I was the quietest. I was just quiet, and I always observed, and I just always did what needed to be done. From a sports aspect, from a school aspect, and that was me. I learned so much from my two older brothers too, what not to do and what to do. And I credit a lot of my success to my two older brothers and my family. But yeah, man, I was chilled and just sit back and talk when I needed to speak, and that's it. And I think I still bring that same vibe today, because that's who I am. So when people meet me in public, I think it kind of takes them by shock that I'm just so approachable. I'm just like, why wouldn't I be? Yeah. You guys are the reason why I'm successful. If it wasn't for you guys sharing the messages, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. And I think just anybody watching this as leaders or wherever you're at, never forget that in the process, because sometimes we get so far up here, we forget about the people who were supporting us at our rock bottom. The NFL taught me that, because when I made it to the NFL, just to be honest, I wasn't a jerk, but it was just about me. You know, I was living that lifestyle, you know, probably left some friends behind that I shouldn't have, or...
Did you get drafted or undrafted?
I was undrafted.
Okay.
But I was still in that mindset like I made it, which was crazy because I really didn't at that point. But I was like, I'm around celebrities, I'm around Reggie Wayne and Peyton Manning, all these people. I'm like, man, I'm good, I made it. And
you were a Colt, right?
Yeah, my first year.
Did you this is just a shot in the dark. Do you know a guy, Anthony Floyd? He played DB at Louisville. He played for the Colts he's from we went to high school together. It just hit me now that he was with the Colts around that time. Number 24.
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah. All right. But you were playing with Manning and all those guys.
All those people, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, even I was still trying to practice squad, trying to make my way up on the squad. I still, in my mindset, was that I made it. And I think I was humble. I know I was humbled at that point to realize, like, man, first of all, like, I stopped working once I got there. Right? It's
like training?
I was still training, but I wasn't taking it serious, you know?
Step off the pedal.
Exactly. Because I'm like, I made it. Because that's the thing, right? We have these goals, and I always say this. Goals are something that you reach, standards are something that you live by. And so take those goals, right? There's nothing wrong with having goals, but once you reach those goals have to become a standard in your life. If not, you see it all the time, I'm sure, in fitness, right? We get to a certain level, and it's like, okay, I'm good. You know, now I can relax. And so that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
And I think being in NFL, though, it taught me so much about a lot of stuff, about myself, about humbling myself, also about friends. You know, once I lost that title, I lost a lot of friends. So to kind of reverse where friends came from, a lot of that came from there. Because when I hit my rock bottom, the people who used to call me, used to go out with, and I didn't hear from them as much anymore. You know? So I put myself in a very dark place. I became angry. I didn't even want to watch sports. I'm actually writing this in my book. I was on this chapter today, where I had to get myself out of that and forgive football. As funny as that sounds, I had to forgive football because I caught myself not wanting my son to even play sports, calling myself protecting him, but really I was still hurt, you know, at the same time. And a lot of times as parents, we do that, right? We call ourselves protecting our kids, but really we're holding them back. And so, that process in my life, those 3 years taught me a lot about life and taught me a lot about what mattered, because even when I had everything, the most money, fame, I wouldn't say fame at that point, but notoriety, definitely back in my city, like, I was still empty. Yeah. And so I don't believe the scenario of like what the world tries to say, you need X, Y, Z to be happy and fulfilled, man. Nah, that's where protecting your peace and understand where those things come from.
Yeah, Harvard did a study on the highest level of happiness, and they studied like different cultures, and they studied different socioeconomical statuses, and they found that the highest level of happiness must contain suffering. Like there has to be an element of suffering, and the most peaceful and at peace groups of people are the ones that we look at with all of our technology that have the least.
Yeah.
And it's the protecting your peace. It's a powerful message. The words are very easy for us to understand. Did you ever catch the Power? One of my favorite commercials is Powerade. This is when D Rose was in the league. He was the MVP. He was a ball player, and they did that commercial with Tupac narrating his poem The Rose.
Yeah, I remember that.
Man, so I wanted that sort of thing. Like, I mean, we could talk about Pac for another hour. But this is about Trent.
For sure.
My question, dude, that was so powerful. Don't ask me why, ask me how. Like these are my pedals. But are you ever going to think about maybe putting something down on like an MP3 format? Like,
that's funny.
You know what I mean? Because like I would love, because I have this awesome app. I downloaded your videos to where like I could copy the link off of your Facebook and then save it to my camera roll. Yeah. So then I don't have to like go into the Facebook thing to listen to them. It'd be cool to have that though as like an MP4.
Well, that's exactly. I mean, not just saying this. Literally, I was talking to Shane about this today. I was talking to Brendan about this today because we have a few things on iTunes, just a few here and there.
I saw that.
But definitely getting more into Spotify, even more music, rehab music, getting more into that. And just reaching people on podcasting, reaching people in a whole different way, man. So I got to definitely step it up on that aspect of it, you know? Yeah,
Trent Shelton, you're in Sydney Friday, May 25th, and you're going to be in Auckland May 27th, back to LA June 16th. Guys listening at home, you got your website, TrentShelton.com, and you can catch Trent on all social medias at Trent Shelton. Before I let you go, though, man, anything you want to leave, anything else you're working on, maybe a message to everyone listening. Give a message to the people listening who are struggling out there.
Well, I'll just tell you not to give up on life. I could, do my spoken word, your life isn't over, but I would definitely tell you to go listen to it and realize, man, just because you had some bad chapters doesn't mean your story can't end well. One thing that I realized with my life, and I tell everybody that you're a choice away from a new beginning. And like when you really understand that, you're a choice away. The reason I'm here today is because I made a choice. I made a decision not to surrender to my pain, but I decided to make my pain surrender to me. So I want to tell you to turn the page. I want to tell you not to give up on yourself. Forget the perfection thing. The people that are judging you are not perfect. The people you see on Instagram are not perfect. A lot of people hide their struggles behind smiles. So don't judge yourself. Don't compare your life. Just appreciate your life. The key to elevation is appreciation and gratitude. And when you can understand that, when you can realize that you have everything you need in your life, and you truly focus on the internal things instead of the external things, I believe that you will find the peace that you're searching for.
Trent Shelton, I really appreciate you taking the time. I really appreciate Jason, Shane for coming by here and stopping by the show, man. Thank you for sharing space with us, man.
Thank you, bro. I really appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much, man, for sure. Excellent.
Let's get it.
Benny Spolner, young buck in the house. We just did a podcast a couple weeks ago because he's only 22.
That's
I'm
what's
trying
up.
to, he was a coach earlier, a couple years ago as a 20-year-old. In this business model, if you don't have business skills, like, you're paying for the space.
Yeah.
And we just did a very important podcast about the importance of failing and not letting it define you.
Yeah.
A lot of us we get trapped in that kind of like. That was my thing. You mentioned the football. Man, I couldn't watch baseball. I couldn't watch any baseball for like 8 years because up until I stopped playing when I was 23, I thought that's all I was ever gonna do. There wasn't a plan B. My parents in my little small hometown of Youngstown, everybody always told me I was the best. And then you get to college, still Pitt, you're still good. And then I'll never forget, I was taking ground balls in Long Beach, California, trying out for this team, the Armada. A guy, Troy Tulowitzki, was on that team, plays for Colorado, and Evan Longoria, who was an MVP, playing the same position I played. And it hit me at that time. I was like, oh my God, there's different levels to this, and I'm not even gonna make this team.
Yeah.
And it sent me down 5-6 years of just, chaos, man. I didn't work out. It's important, the message you're bringing to the table, man, and the authenticity. I showed your one video to my client, Ellen. I use my clients as you say rehab. Me too. It's my therapy.
Yeah.
My one-on-one sessions are my therapy. It makes me heal. And I showed her just the 3-minute clip, and I was like, what one word would you, just off the bat, you don't know anything about him, what would you say? She was genuine. I was like, thanks. I let him know.
Yeah, that means a lot to me.
Yeah, man. Did you get lockers? Because there's showers, there's swimming pools, you could work out. What do you guys need?
Well, this is the clothes I'm gonna work out in, so I'm
Okay.
doing good.
Do you mind if we get a photo?
Let's do
it.
it.
For the upstairs. We gotta walk up.